Robert Horry, role player legend. He has more rings than Jordan.
Gone by in the fourth quarter. Horry taking to the rim. Lakers.
When people talk about NBA legends, the same names get tossed around. Jordan, LeBron, Kobe, the superstars, the headliners, the guys with sneaker deals, max contracts, and statues outside arenas. But sometimes greatness isn't about MVPs or scoring titles. Sometimes it's about showing up in the biggest moments and flipping the script when it matters most. That was Robert Horry. No MVPs, no All-Star selections, no scoring titles, yet 7 championship rings. More than Jordan, more than Shaq, more than Kobe. 7 times, Horry found himself at the heart of an NBA dynasty. 7 times he hit shots that shattered dreams and built legacies. His name isn't in the GOAT debate, but when the game was on the line, he was the most dangerous. This is the story of Big Shot Bob, the ultimate role player who became a legend by turning pressure into rings. Some players are destined for stardom from the moment they pick up a basketball. Robert Horry was one of them. Born on August 20th, 1970 in Hartford County, Maryland, Horry's path to NBA greatness wasn't paved with hype or mixtape highlights. After his parents' divorce, he moved with his mother and brother to Covington County, Alabama, a place about as far from NBA stardom as you can get. There at Andalusia High School, he quietly put in the work, doing all the little things that help teams win. By his senior year, he had done enough to earn Alabama High School Basketball Player of the Year honors, sharing a parade All-American selection with another Robert, Bobby Hurley. One went on to be a star point guard. The other, he made a living ripping out the hearts of opposing teams with last-second daggers. Horry took his talents to the University of Alabama, where he played alongside All-American James Robinson and future NBA All-Star Latrell Sprewell. This wasn't just a college stop, it was a winning boot camp, where he helped lead the Crimson Tide to 3 SEC championships and a Sweet 16 run in 1991. But before he was Big Shot Bob, Horry was something else entirely, a shot-blocking machine. One that might surprise even die-hard NBA fans. He left Alabama as the school's all-time leader in blocks, 286, a record that still stands today. And for those who love weird basketball stats, Horry once took 28 shots in a single game against Ole Miss in 1992, the most by any Alabama player since the 70s. Yes, the same Robert Horry who built his career on taking only the biggest shots once played like he was prime Allen Iverson. His all-around game caught the eye of NBA scouts, or at least it caught the eye of the Rockets, who took him 11th overall as a 3-and-D forward, someone who could complement star big man Hakeem Olajuwon. Now, let's be real, the 1992 draft was basically Shaq and friends. Outside of Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning, both Hall of Famers, the rest of the class, let's just say NBA scouts weren't losing sleep over their picks. How bad was it? Only 6 combined All-Star appearances came from players picked after the top 2 selections. For context, Shaq alone had 15. Horry arrived in Houston as a talented but unpolished rookie, a 6'10" forward with the size of a big man and the shooting stroke of a guard. The Rockets were hunting for their first championship, and under head coach Rudy Tomjanovich, Horry was expected to be a solid complementary piece. Statistically, his career average of 7 points per game ranked lower than 9 of the 10 players drafted ahead of him, which in some cases would scream bust. But here's the twist. The Rockets got it right, because in basketball, legacy isn't just about how much you can contribute, it's about when and where you do it, and nobody mastered that better than Robert Horry. Funny enough, Horry's entire career, his rings, his clutch gene, his place in NBA history, almost never happened. In 1994, the Rockets actually tried to ship him to Detroit for Sean Elliott, but Elliott failed his physical, the deal collapsed, and Horry stayed in Houston. Just like that, fate stepped in, and the Rockets held on to a guy who would help them win back-to-back championships. At first, it wasn't easy. The NBA was a different beast, and Horry struggled to find his identity. He wasn't a bruiser like Charles Oakley. He wasn't a finesse scorer like Scottie Pippen. He was struck somewhere in the middle, too versatile to be boxed in, too unproven to have a defined role. But that changed when Tomljanovic saw something in him that others didn't, a player who could make game-changing plays without needing the spotlight. By the 1994 NBA Finals, Horry had transformed from a raw rookie into a key contributor. Against the New York Knicks, a bruising defensive-minded team built for war, Horry held his own, knocking down clutch shots and playing elite defense. While he didn't hit any game winners, he averaged 10.3 points, 5.7 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game, helping propel the Rockets to their first ever championship. For most players, winning an NBA title is the dream, the peak, the ultimate flex, but for Robert Horry, it was just the beginning. A year later, he was back in the mix, ready to defy expectations again. But heading into the 1995 playoffs, things didn't exactly scream repeat champions. Horry limped into the postseason, shooting a brutal 6 of 28 from 3 over the final 8 games of a regular season. Then, flip the switch. The playoffs started, and suddenly Horry was a different player. He averaged 12.8 points per game, shot 38.7% from deep, and when the pressure was highest, he became a problem. In Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals against the Spurs, the Rockets needed a bucket late. Horry had not hit a single shot all game, but with 6.5 seconds left, the ball swung his way. He stepped into a cold-blooded jumper, just inside the arc, nothing but net. Rockets win. And just like that, Big Shot Bob was born. By the time the Rockets reached the NBA Finals, two-pointers weren't enough for the big man anymore. In Game 3 against Orlando, Houston clung to a 3-point lead, looking to put the series out of reach. 16.5 seconds left, Horry caught the ball beyond the arc and let it fly. Lights out. Rockets win 106-103, taking a commanding 3-0 series lead and pushing Shaq's Magic to the brink. A few nights later, Houston sealed the sweep, winning back-to-back championships as a 6th seed, something unheard of in NBA history. Hakeem Olajuwon rightfully took home Finals MVP, but Horry, he left his mark in every way, including setting a Finals record with 7 steals in Game 1. Think about that. The Defensive Player of the Year that season was Olajuwon, but in the Finals, the guy leading the charge on defense was Robert Horry. That's what made him special. In just 2 seasons, Horry had 2 championships and a reputation as the guy who showed up when it mattered most. He wasn't just filling a role anymore, he was becoming a weapon. By 1995-96, he registered the best statistical season of his career, setting personal bests in points, assists, blocks, and minutes per game. But who cares about stats? Clearly H-Town didn't, because after getting bounced in the second round, they traded him to Phoenix in a blockbuster deal. Just like that, Big Shot Bob was on the move, but his legend was only getting started. Horry might have been a 2-time NBA champion, but his time with the Suns started off like a bad sitcom. Phoenix opened the season 0-13, the worst start in franchise history. If it felt like things were finally crashing down, well, that didn't last long. The Suns, desperate for a shakeup, flipped him to the Lakers, where he found himself sharing a locker room with Shaquille O'Neal and an 18-year-old Kobe Bryant. His first season in LA, nothing special. The Lakers got bounced in the second round by Utah, but unlike Phoenix, LA wasn't about to give up on him. Horry stayed, and soon the next chapter of his legendary career began. 2 years passed, the Lakers kept falling short, and patience was wearing thin. Then came Phil Jackson, bringing with him the tribal offense and a system designed for high IQ players who knew how to win. Horry, as we already knew, was built for this moment. By 1999-2000, the Lakers were rolling. He wasn't a starter. NBA Ironman AC Green had that job. But when it counted, Horry was on the floor. After struggling through the first 5 games of the finals, missing 11 of 12 threes, he did what he always did, delivered when it mattered. In Game 6, he hit 2 clutch threes, helping secure the Lakers' first championship in over a decade. That was ring number 3 for Horry, a feat that took future Laker LeBron James another 16 years to reach. The next year, Horry's role expanded. He was still coming off the bench, but this time he wasn't just playing a role, he was stealing the show. Game 3 of the 2001 NBA Finals, series tied 1-1. The Lakers needed a spark, and Big Shot Bob answered. He dropped 15 points off the bench, drilling 3 clutch threes, the biggest of which came with 47.2 seconds left to push LA's lead to 4. The Lakers won the game, won the series in 5, and just like that, Horry had his 4th ring. But he wasn't done. Good things continued to come in threes for Horry. In the first round of the 2002 playoffs against Portland, he started 0 for 3 from deep in Game 3. With just 3 seconds left, Horry got a pass in the corner, splash, game winner, sweep complete, another clutch moment for the books. Then came the shot that defined his Lakers career, Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals against Sacramento. Down 2-1 in the series, the Lakers were staring at a potential 3-1 hole. It should have been over. Kobe missed a game-tying layup, Shaq missed the putback. The ball bounced out to Vlade Divac, who casually slapped it away from the basket, hoping to drain the clock, except he slapped it right to Robert Horry. One step, one shot, buzzer, game over, and he saved the season. The Lakers rode that momentum all the way to a 3rd straight title, making Horry a 5-time champion in just 10 seasons. At this point, you had to wonder, was this magic ever going to end? Then came the 2003 playoffs, and for the first time, Horry did something rare. He missed a big shot. Game 5 versus the Spurs, the Lakers had a chance to take control of the series. With seconds left, the ball found Horry, the man built for these moments, but he let it fly. 72 days later, he was a Spur. Horry signed a multi-year deal with San Antonio, unknowingly setting the blueprint for future ring-chasing superstars, but the transition wasn't smooth. His first season in San Antonio ended in a second-round exit at the hands of his former team, the Lakers, adding insult to injury. The biggest shot of that series belonged to Derek Fisher, not Horry. At 34 years old, coming off career lows in nearly every category, it looked like his run was over. But Big Shot Bob wasn't done. By 2005, he had rediscovered his rhythm. He played in 75 games, hit double figures 15 times, and was back in the finals, this time against the defending champion Detroit Pistons. In Game 5, with the series tied 2-2, Horry delivered one of his greatest playoff performances. After hitting just 1 3 in the first 3 quarters, he exploded for 18 points in the 4th quarter and overtime, including a 7-point burst in 58 seconds. Then, with 6 seconds left, he nailed a game-winning 3 to put the Spurs up 3-2. The Spurs went on to win the series in 7, giving Horry his 6th championship, tying him with Jordan, Pippen, Kareem, and Bob Cousy. Then came 2007, Horry's most controversial title run. Facing the Suns in the second round, he delivered a hip check from hell on Steve Nash, sending him flying into the scorer's table. The foul itself wasn't the game changer, but the chaos it triggered was. As tensions flared, Amari Stoudemire and Boris Diaw instinctively stepped onto the court, violating NBA rules and earning automatic suspensions for Game 5. Horry got suspended for 2 games, but in a twisted way, his foul might have won the series for San Antonio. Without 2 of their best players, the Suns lost Game 5, and the Spurs closed out the series in 6. Horry was now in the ultra-elite company, the only player outside of the 60s Celtics dynasty to own 7 championship rings. A year later, he retired, leaving behind a career filled with buzzer beaters, daggers, ice-cold moments in the biggest games. Robert Horry will never hear his name called on the Hall of Fame night. He was never the face of a franchise, never led a team in scoring, never put up superstar numbers. But when the game was on the line, when legacies were being written in real time, Big Shot Bob was the guy you wanted on the floor. He was the quiet assassin who understood something most players never grasp. Basketball isn't just about numbers, it's about moments. The greatest role player the NBA has ever seen. If there's one lesson to take from Robert Horry's legendary career, it's this. You don't need mixtape handles or 40-inch vertical. You just need one thing that makes you irreplaceable. Maybe it's your defense. Maybe it's your ability to hit a shot when the pressure is highest. Maybe it's just being the smartest player on the floor. So don't chase someone else's game. Own yours. Because when the moment comes and the ball finds you, the only thing that matters is, are you ready to take the shot? If you enjoyed this breakdown, hit that like button, subscribe for more NBA deep dives, and let us know which player's journey we should cover next in the comments. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.